From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Overtime Podcast.
From inside the Saints Museum here on Airline Drive in Metairie, inside the Saints facility, welcome into the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast. I'm your host, Shough, Fazende, riding shotgun as he does each and every podcast. It's Andre Johnson.
Jr.
Not forget the Jr. It's very important. Remember the JR at the end of the name. Before we get into today's content, be sure to like, share, rate, review. If you're watching us on YouTube, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, get the bell notification for when we drop that
fire content.
And also, hello to the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. Glad you have found us here. All right, Andre, it is Tuesday, a very, very, very hot day in the city, but that did not stop the couple thousand fans from coming out here today. Minicamp open for the Saints. Everyone was in attendance. How you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good. It was fun out there. You know, it was hot. I had my fan on all day, so, you know, that once you get past that part, but it was cool seeing fans out here because it's been a while since the fans have been on Airline. We got to talk to a few fans of the podcast, you know, so it was really fun out there getting to see a little more football.
It was, and they did a little bit more. We'll get into that in just a second. To the gentleman that pointed out to us that he never forgets the JR at the end of Andre Johnson Jr.'s
Senior
name.
would be appreciated.
Thank you, Andre Johnson Sr. Is very gracious and very happy about that. All right, so what did we see here today? Well, first off, we saw a lot of heat. It was very, very hot. We saw a couple of players in the locker room after. They were like, wow, that was a really, really, really hot practice day. Open practice at we got escorted back there at 11:45, got things going. I mean, it wasn't right at noon, it was right after noon. So it was the hottest part of the day. They went till about 1:30. Once again, did not do any 11-on-11 stuff other than the walkthrough at the end of practice, but did a couple of 7-on-7 sessions, obviously, in front of the live audience for the first time with the Saints fans in attendance. Attendance-wise, speaking of, Alvin Kamara was here. Tyrann Mathieu was here. Taysom Hill was here. That's the first time we've seen him since he's been rehabbing his injury, I guess in Utah or Idaho, wherever he's at, just doing his thing right now. So it was the first time we were able to see him present, so that was obviously a good thing. So attendance-wise, Nathan Shepard was here, J.T. Gray was here, Chase Young was back, Cam Jordan was back, Demario Davis was back. So everyone that was supposed to be here was here, and that's exactly what Kellen Moore was hoping for. On the field, obviously all eyes went to the quarterback position. The 7-on-7 stats. What do you have for the 7-on-7 stats so far?
7-on-7, I had Spencer Rattler going 11 for 15 with an interception. Tyler Shough went 12 for 16.
Yes.
Neither quarterback threw a touchdown.
Neither quarterback threw a touchdown. Both worked the short areas of the field early. And I'm going to just say this. I said this on our last pod that we were here. My evaluation has now stopped and it's not going to pick back up until they get to 11-on-11. I've seen all I can really see just in terms of a 7-on-7. As for their actual practice today, I don't think either one overly impressed. I thought Spencer Rattler started a little stronger, but I thought he faded a little bit towards the end. He got picked off. He had a low throw. That was a throw where he didn't see a man, and he scrambled, and don't really do that during 7-on-7. Yeah. I thought there were a lot of checkdowns from Tyler Shough. He did connect on a deep ball, but the receiver was a little far outside, was able to catch it, but couldn't quite get his 2 feet down. So if you're looking for who I'm giving the edge to today, I'm just going to say nobody, because I really didn't feel like either one took control. In the previous practices that we've seen, one guy had usually stepped up, and generally speaking, they had the better day of the two, but also of the defense. And I thought today, defensively, they were pretty on point. So all in all, from a quarterback standpoint, it's more 7-on-7 work. It was doing first, second, third, and fourth down. They did get more pass attempts, which is obviously a huge thing to get the amount of work in. But I didn't necessarily think it was a great day for either quarterback. You know what? That's going to happen. That's to be expected. And honestly, I was kind of ready for the defense to have a decent day. By the way, that interception was picked off by Jonas Sanker, the rookie. We talked to him afterwards. He was just kind of hiding underneath in the underneath coverage. It was an over route to Juwan Johnson, I believe. Spencer just didn't see it. He lets it fly. I think he's got an open receiver. Then out of nowhere, Sanker kind of rises up, makes the INT. He fumbled the ball after he caught it, but it was still ruled an INT. That's another thing. Referees were out here today.
First time we've seen them.
It was a decent practice. It was a good practice, but it was a June practice. And if you're looking for some grand proclamation about the quarterbacks, if anyone took a huge leap forward or a huge step forward, I'm not going to give that to you today, at least in my opinion. I didn't see it today. That's okay. They still have a long way to go, and that's pretty much was the big picture for me today, was just watching both quarterbacks, and I don't think it was either of their days today.
Yeah, and I almost had a proclamation for you. As I grabbed the notes, I almost had one because Spencer Rattler, up through his, let's say, 11 throws, his 11th pass was a wheel route fully to Xavier Valade, his best throw today, about 25 yards down the field. And as I was watching his first 11 passes, I said, this is the best that we've seen him in the month that they've been practicing so far. Spencer Rattler, so far through 11 passes, has been much better than Tyler Shough. And then on the 12th pass, I literally looked over to you and said it. And then on the 12th pass, he got picked off by Jonas Sanker. 13 pass, it was a flat to the tight end, about 2 yards away from the line of scrimmage. I don't know if the sweat got on his hands, but he threw that straight into the dirt. Then he tried to scramble, couldn't find anybody. I ruled that one a sack. That was a no throw. And then he had a throw over the middle, broken up by Justin Reed. That one probably could have been picked off as well. So Spencer Rattler, he had a really good start, but he didn't necessarily finish as well as you would have wanted to see him finish in the 7-on-7 period. Tyler Shough, he's very conservative today. Worked the short, parts of the field. You can see he's still more comfortable on the outside because his best two throws, there was a deep sail to Mason Tipton, and he had a corner route to Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah.
Both of his best throws, and really pretty much every elite throw we've seen from Tyler Shough through the 4 practices that we've been able to watch as the media, all of his best throws have been kind of working the corners, working outside the numbers, which is cool. You still want to see him develop, being able to throw over the middle, being able to make those tight window throws as we've seen Spencer Rattler do throughout this last month or so. But like you said, I mean, I really don't have any big takeaway oh man, Rattler's running away with it, Tyler Shough's running away with it. Right now, it's a good old-fashioned brawl between the two of them. I don't think either has been able to set themselves apart from the other. And that's what makes this fun. I mean, who wants to see a quarterback competition settled in June?
Right.
We know this is going to continue through the rest of minicamp. We're going to get to July. We're going to have training camp. We're going to be talking about this all the way through August as they get into the preseason. So it's just the start of things. And so far, both Shough and Rattler are hanging in there. Now we saw, if you want to talk about the other two, we saw Jake Hayner back out there throwing passes today for the first time since his injury. Hunter Deckers was passing, but it was very clear once they got to the 7-on-7 part, neither Hayner nor Deckers got a single rep. It was all Shough and Rattler.
And, here's the thing, just piggybacking on what you said with Shough. I think now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. Right now, he's really struggling to see the middle of the field. The vision gets a little clogged up, and you can tell that he's getting there, and he's got to get off to his check down or whoever's kind of in the flat area, and it's taking him some time to process through that. And that's during 7-on-7. That's not even – you still have 4 more defenders on the field when it's 11-on-11, obviously. In Spencer Rattler's case, I would say if you just look at down-to-down efficiency, I would probably check him as far as in the lead. If you look at the more explosive plays, we're talking about the entirety of OTAs, not just minicamp. It would obviously go to Tyler Shough with the 3 60-yard bombs. And like I said, he connected on one today. It was about 6 inches outside. So the receiver caught it. It was a well-placed ball, but it was a little bit outside. He wasn't able to get the feet down. That happened twice to him today. It was another throw. Really fitted in nice to Brandon Cooks, but they kind of ran out of real estate on the sideline. So everybody's still working through it. Everybody's still trying to get there. Spencer Rattler's case, I really need to see him in 11-on-11 because we saw his rookie year. There's no real – he's not a rookie, so there's no real phasing in. So we've already seen him in live, regular season, NFL games. We saw what he was good at. We saw where he really struggled. And I'm just not going to learn anything if he's better or worse based off of what I see in 7-on-7 after 4 weeks. I think we've hit a wall there, and it's probably time to get to some 11-on-11 sessions. And at that point, they will make their determination. And even at that point, it's going to not come until they get into the preseason and play some preseason games. So who's in the lead? I still am sitting on the fence here. I still think this is a toss-up. Like I said, down-to-down efficiency, I'm going Spencer Rattler. Explosive, high-end arm talent, I'm going obviously Tyler Shough. But there's still a long way to go. And it was interesting to watch because once again they rotated with the first and the second team.
Yep.
The first session of 7-on-7, it was set of 4 Rattler, set of 4 Shough, set of 4 Rattler, set of 4 Shough. Then he did special teams in the middle, then set of 4 Shough, then Rattler, Shough, then Rattler. So this was the most amount of work they've gotten, the 16 pass attempts, and they're just trying to compile as much data, see as much as they can from a defensive standpoint, from a route concept standpoint. And so far, it's been good. I don't know if I was expecting it to be fantastic at this point, and they've had some wild moments, but they've also had some moments where, look, they're not there yet. And I think that's okay at this point in the offseason.
Definitely. The only thing I'm looking for, and again, it's a bit nitpicky because we've only seen 4 practices. We've seen some social media video from the Saints that we've seen Spencer Rattler throwing the ball down the field, but I want to see Spencer Rattler throw the ball down the field.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen 4 practices so far. We've been watching them for a month, and I don't think we've seen a Rattler completion over 15 yards.
Yeah.
You know, everything, like you said, it's that down-to-down efficiency. He's working the short stuff, but or the wheel route to Fazende, about 20 yards. That's probably the only throw that was deep for Rattler, but he had a deep shot. I believe it was to Kevin Austin Jr. As we get into the different passes they made today. He had a deep shot to Kevin Austin Jr. It was a bit underthrown. We remember when they were inside in OTAs, he had the deep one to Rashid Shaheed. That was a bit underthrown as well. As we get to the play-by-play, Spencer Rattler in his first session, a 5-yard dump off to AK, who looked pretty good in his first day back, Alvin Kamara. Then he hit Juwan Johnson in the flat. A quick in to Kevin Austin.
That was a good one because it was a good throw.
Small window.
It was able to catch and run after, and it was a 3rd and medium. So I actually starred that as one of his better throws because he had to place it right and allow Austin to get yards after catch. So I actually starred that as a good throw but even though it was short.
Right, and then he also had a quick throw over the middle to Rashid Shaheed to close out his first session. Then Tyler Shough comes in. He kind of scrambled out on his first throw, hit Welsh, the tight end, in the flat. Another play where you probably could rule that as a sack. They're not really getting rushed in 7-on-7. Throw number 2, he hits Malaki Mataveo in the flat. Then the third pass, a deep sail route to Tipton. Mason Tipton on the right side, one of his best throws, if not his best throw of the day. And then on his 4th pass, it was a corner route to Brandon Cooks where, unfortunately, Cooks couldn't get his feet in. It was a pretty good throw, but like you mentioned earlier, they just ran out of real estate. Spencer Rattler steps back in, a 10-yard in to Dante Pettis. He hits Kendre Miller, short going over the middle.
Yeah.
Quick slant to Bub Means. That was a pretty nice tight window throw. And then his 8th throw, the last throw of this first session for him, that was a deep ball to Kevin Austin. That was a bit underthrown. Tyler Shough comes back in, check down to Welsh, the tight end. He hits Jack Stoll in the flat. Then he had a miss over the middle. Referee was in the way. We couldn't see that one too well. And then he made a great throw, corner route to Rashid Shaheed, and that's what kind of closed out that first session. But after that first session, you kind of got the feeling that Spencer Rattler was a little better than Tyler Shough in that one.
Yeah, and we've seen that with Spencer, right? He can get into rhythm, and he kind of can go and get a little streaky. But then his final session, I'll just go through the play-by-play again. Shough opened things out, hit about 8 yards on a curl to Juwan Johnson, then hit a throw to Rashid Shaheed, looked like a comeback route to Rashid Shaheed, then hit Devin Neal on a little check down, the rookie. Then there was a drop by Juwan Johnson out in the flat, another shorter throw. He had a lot of those today, a lot of shorter throws where it was almost like, I'm not seeing it, let me dump it off real quick. Then Rattler comes in. So I talked to you about the rhythm and the streaky pass when he was there. I actually rhythm that first 8 throws. His first throw of the second session, pass batted down by Chase Young at the line of scrimmage. This is interesting how they do 7-on-7. It's like they have a rush, but they just kind of stand there. Then it was an incompletion. I just wrote incomplete here. I don't know exactly what happened on that play. Then there was a short completion to Mason Tipton. Actually, you know what? The incompletion is the pass breakup. I'm sorry. Then there was a short throw to Mason Tipton. Then there was a nice wheel route to Fazende. And then on the very next play, he got picked off. So his last throw of it wasn't his last throw, but the last throw of that session, he was picked off by Jonas Sankey. I already described what happened on that play, where he basically undercut a throw, and Rattler never saw him. That happens. Then in the second round of the second session, 7-on-7, Shough to Dante Pettis. Then there was an incomplete pass to number 84. That was the deep ball down the sideline. Wasn't able to get his feet down, but he was able to complete the pass. Then he threw a short little return route to Jack Stoll, number 88. Then a short out route to Michael Jacobson. I think you're sensing the theme here. It was a lot of shorter passes, a lot of shorter completions. Only 2 second-level passes. That was to Mason Tipton and Rashid Shaheed. And then Rattler closed out his day. Just didn't look sharp. a low throw to Malavi Monteveo, the draft pick. I don't know, it looked like the ball almost slipped out of his hand.
Yeah, just
Then
spiked
there
it
was
darn
then
near.
there was the throw to the flat, very short throw to Devin Neal. Then there was the no throw, and then there was the Justin Reed pass breakup. Who was he throwing that ball to? It was over the middle of the
it might have
field.
been, Jawan.
It was a
Might have been
nice
a tight
it was a
end.
nice break on the ball by Justin Reed.
We can
So-
actually show you these, by the way,
Yeah.
today. We got to film the entire practice, so for once we can show you the plays we're talking about.
Yeah, so it was a nice it was a nice collection of plays. I was happy to see them get that many pass attempts in. So what are we not seeing right now? What we're not seeing right now is we really cannot get a read on anything on the run game. Because the only thing they're doing from a run game standpoint is that 11 on 11 half speed walkthrough. So, and that running, we were talking before practice, that running back room, there were a lot of guys doing drills. It's like, wow, that's a lot of running backs in that room right now. So there's a lot to sort through, a lot of information to collect with those guys. And I guess that starts when training camp starts. So that's a little bit of the risk you run by not getting some live stuff in right now. What else are we not seeing? Well, can't really see a pass rush right now because
Really anything
there's
defensively.
nothing really defensively outside of a few coverages that we're able to see. So as much as there's stuff to analyze and see, there's still a whole lot we're not even getting a look at. And think about that: the run game, which means you're not getting run defense, and then the pass rush, those are three huge components that you're not getting much out of these OTAs and minicamp. And look, it's just a different way of doing it, way different than we're used to. Based off what we've seen from other organizations, based off what I know from covering this organization in years past, it's one of the lighter workloads you're going to see. But look, in November, if they're healthy and they're winning, no one's going to care about if the practices were short during June. So it's just something to look at or just monitor as we get through this, because it is a totally different approach. I mean, so that's really where things stand as we get through day one of these minicamp practices.
Right. I mean, ironically, all we can really get a read on right now are the quarterbacks and the receivers, because, like you mentioned, we really can't see the run game on either side of the ball, and it's almost kind of unfair to the secondary because it's hard to get a read on the defense because, in a game, if you give the best DB in the league 20 seconds out there, his receiver's going to get open. Right now there's no pass rush. The quarterbacks pretty much have however long they want to make those throws. That's why a lot of times all you're seeing are cornerbacks getting beat and receivers making catches, because it's hard to be a DB when there's no pass rush. So that's kind of why we continue to say we want to see that 11 on 11 when we can see, Chase Young and Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan and those guys get after him. When we can start to see the offensive line, we believe they've got their best five still working in Banks and Penning and McCoy, Ruiz and Fuaga. We'd like to see them really start to work that continuity in pads and in helmets. So there's still a lot to see, still a lot to be excited about in the future. Saints still have 2 more mini camps. They've got one Wednesday, they've got one Thursday. I'm sure it'll be more of the same when it comes to the 7-on-7, mainly because that's what Kellen Moore said. He said he expects it to be more of the same from what we saw at OTAs. But I will say there was a bit of a different kind of energy out there today.
No doubt.
And
no doubt.
the defense, if anything, seems like they benefited from it more than anything, just having fans out there. I mean, it was hot. It was hot out there, very few clouds, but those fans were out there the whole time cheering, calling players, and it was just a more fun environment with them out there.
Y'all the real MVPs. I don't know if I'd have been out here if we weren't out here for our jobs. I don't know if I'd have been out here. It was a hot one today. We saw players as they were walking in the locker room. Reed, who's from here, it was hot out there. Trevor Penning, we saw him sitting down. They said, "You used to this yet?" He goes, "You never get used to this." It's like, once you get back out there reacclimated, we're both New Orleans guys. It was hot for us. So you got to fight through it, and that's generally what happens this time of year. I thought we'd get some rain. Didn't get any rain, and probably get some rain later today because I saw 70-80% chance of rain. Maybe it's coming in the afternoon. I thought they'd get one today. Man, it's interesting that they picked basically high noon to start practice. Which is obviously the hottest part of the day, and it felt every bit of it. Well, a couple other visitors here today. I saw Garrett Nussmeier was here. Obviously, his dad, the offense coordinator, Doug Nussmeier, saw him walking off the field with his dad. Some of the fans saw him, did a few autographs, and was able to chat with a few people. So that was cool to see. Randy Mueller was out here, but now he's been on the staff helping the front office. I couldn't confirm this, but I was far away but it looked like former Falcons GM Thomas Dimitroff was out there as well. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I apologize, but it looked like that was him from far away. So the officials were out here as well. It looked like there was some coaches from around the area. Typically that happens, some college coaches, some high school coaches that were around the area.
Mickey Loomis out there today?
Mickey Loomis was out there, obviously. So it looked like all hands were on deck, and obviously the stands were packed. The people were there, and they said it was sold out. It definitely looks sold out. It's not a whole lot of real estate out there when you talk about where the fans can actually sit, and there was not an empty seat in the house, so they certainly brought it today. One thing that stood out to me, I don't know if you saw this, we don't spend a whole lot of time on special teams, but I thought it looked like, was it Hayball punting today?
Yeah.
Looked like he was punting the ball pretty well, getting the ball inside the 10. They were rotating those returners back there to something to really watch because the returner can earn their way onto the roster if they add that type of value. So there were quite a few that were landing inside the 10-yard line. And then Blake Grupe, who is a guy that, Charlie Smith is here, the exchange NFL that they did last year.
Yeah.
He's on the roster. I saw him last year knocking the crap out the ball, 64 yards, 65 yards. But Blake Grupe today kicked field goals, and he finished off his day with a 60-yarder. So in the heat, with fans here, Grupe said, I'm keeping my job. A 60-yarder, because if he can give you 60 yards, I've always felt like he's the guy from 55 in is probably where he's going to have to live. I don't know if I trust him past 55, but if he can give you 60 at the end of the game, just think of the options that you have. And honestly, in this day and age, these kickers are getting much, much better. The range is getting farther and farther. Guys are kicking from beyond 60, so you got to be able to rely on a guy to kick one from 60 in. And if Blake Grupe can do that, I think he'll be the team's kicker this year.
Yeah, and I mean, how nice was it just seeing a day of minicamp, no drama? And we talked about it yesterday, I believe. There weren't any guys who weren't there. We weren't wondering, where's so-and-so, where's so-and-so. I'm looking around the league. I'm saying, this guy's not, TJ Watt's not showing up to camp because he's unhappy with his contract. Trey Hendrickson not showing up to Bengals camp because he's unhappy with his contract. None of that today. No ghosts, everybody, even Taysom Hill, who we haven't seen for a long time. He was there standing on the side, talking to coaches, watching practice, and it was just nice to see everybody. Cam Jordan there with a very unique hairstyle.
Is that blonde or platinum? I couldn't quite tell. Is it silver? Is it blonde? I don't know.
Almost like silver. He said he's been watching a little Game of Thrones, House of Dragons, and he was inspired by that. So I'm guessing he was going for the silver, like the Targaryens or something like that.
Yeah. So that's where it all stands. Something else I wanted to point out because people keep asking me when I go on these shows, how's Kellen Moore look out there? I'll just say this. Yeah, I've been able to spot him a couple times. He's not going to be the rah-rah guy. He's not going to be the, energy guy. He's going to be more the cerebral guy calling plays, kind of moving back and forth. But just from an operation standpoint, when I say operation, going from point A to point B, going from drill 1 to drill 2, going from period 1 to period 2, going from special teams to 7-on-7. It's been crisp. Yeah. It's been pretty crisp, especially for a new young head coach with a brand new coaching staff. Those are the things that can somewhat fall through the cracks. But I think the script's been pretty tight. They've been on it. I think there's a little bit of a good mix of young coaches and coaches with a lot of experience. Obviously, he's a young coach. So I think all in all, the operation has been pretty smooth. And I remember when DA first took over, how different it felt just from an energy standpoint. And it's been different from DA to Kellen Moore just because it just feels like the operation, it feels pretty smooth for a first-time head coach.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell he's coming from a Super Bowl champion type of program, a franchise in the Philadelphia Eagles where it is like step. There's no hectic feel to any part of the practices. I love how he's running it. I mean, other than the fact that we're not getting 11-on-11, and you see other teams doing it. I was watching a few highlights from Cleveland
Browns,
Shador Sanders, my guy, balling in 11-on-11, but still doing 7-on-7s here. But yeah, I mean, Kellen Moore is not exactly the guy who's going to bring the energy. I do think every coaching staff needs a guy like that to light a fire under where, when it's time to do so. But you've also got a veteran team, and a lot of times veterans don't need anybody to get them going. And when you have a veteran team and you need the young guys going, it's kind of the veterans that'll do that. I mean, you know how DeMario Davis is when he gets to talking. You know how Cam Jordan can be when he gets going, you know. So I think you really lean on the veterans, and Kellen Moore is able to have kind of a more conservative type personality because of the people that he has on his roster. Now, I'm sure there's one yeller on the squad. I'm looking at Doug Nussmeier. He doesn't seem like he raises his voice very often. Maybe Brandon Staley, but I guess we'll see as we get deeper into these practices.
Yeah, so there's 2 more practices left. Then they'll take the break, and they'll come back, and that's when it really, really, really begins. But all in all, I think it's been a very unique because it's different, their approach, but in some ways it's similar because it's a lot of the guys that we know. Yeah. We're seeing different drills, we're seeing different interactions, we're seeing different periods, but we're also seeing the same guys doing things that we've seen them do for a long time.
And people have been healthy. I mean, I mentioned to you, Kendre Miller was practicing today. I don't know at this point in the offseason in his first 2 seasons if Kendre Miller had been active at this point of the year. Quincy Riley was back in doing things, the rookie from Louisville, and he was off on the side during OTAs a lot. So Quincy Riley back in the mix. Kendre Miller, he's going. At this point, we talked about guys not showing up. Typically, there's always a guy or two who we're like, he's off to the side injured. But outside of Taysom Hill, you really got to see everybody. The people are healthy. They're energized. It's fun out here. Hopefully it stays that way.
I think Haener doing some work today was huge. I think he understands what he's up against right now. So he's got to get on the field. So that was huge. He was just doing some warm-up work earlier, some routes on air type stuff. Foster Moreau was out here. Taysom was obviously out here. So from an attendance standpoint, it feels like everyone's here. Shepard was back. Godshot was back. So it feels like from an attendance standpoint, they're here. And the vibes are good, but they're supposed to be good in June.
Exactly.
No real drama with contracts. Injuries that we know about are there, and they're trying to get themselves back on track. Some guys are getting healthier. Some guys will take a little longer. So, it's been a good off-season program, but there's still a long, long way to go after off-season program, break, then training camp. All right, we got to get out of here. For Andre Johnson Jr., I'm Shough Fazende. We'll catch you guys next time on Overtime.